Imagine a man so powerful, so feared, that crossing him could end your career in an instant.
He was a punching bag of the Moi regime.
A man who changed cars up to 10 times a day to stay one step ahead of his enemies.
And was very close to the center of decision making.
They call him Total Man, Mr. Fix-It, the Bull of Auckland, and even the King in Waiting.
That era of 1980s was a tough one.
This is the story of Nicholas Biwott.
Wakati ule anapohesabiwa moja, yule mtu wangu wa Kenya anatayarisha.
For 24 years, from 1978 to 2002, Daniel Arap Moi ruled Kenya with an iron grip. But behind the president stood a man who many believed had the power of resolving complex or problematic political situations, often behind the scenes. Nicholas Biwott.
But he had also learned from Moi, don't show off. Don't. Did people know about him? They knew about him afterwards, or they would hear rumor about him, but you didn't see Biwott anywhere showing off. But his voice was listened to very carefully. He would decide what should happen. If the president has no objection, it will happen.
I, Nicholas Biwott.
Karnet, meaning still in Kalenjin, Biwott was the ultimate insider, a master strategist. He was Moi's right-hand man, a man with a knack for troubleshooting, the one who got things done, the one you never wanted to cross. Cross him and you would find yourself out of a job, or worse. He was simply untouchable.
Biwott cut an image of a guy to fear. Quiet, reserved, short and rich. He looked pensive much of the time. Just go and look for pictures. He sits in an audience, is like a man who is thinking. And then there was this rife rumors of him having connections with security agencies in Israel. The Mossad, in view of the reality that one of his wives is actually Israeli. That is a bit intimidating, even if it were a small man like you and me.
First, let's get to know the man. Nicholas Kiprono Arap Biwott was born in February 1940 in Chebior village, Keyo district in Kenya's Rift Valley. Listen, this wasn't someone born with a silver spoon. His father, Cheserem Soti, was a cattle herder and market trader. Biwott worked hard, studying at the University of Melbourne, where he earned a degree in economics and political science. Now picture this. It's the early 1960s and a young Biwott starts his career as a district officer, a low-level but critical role in the colonial government. By 1965, shortly after Kenya gained independence, he rises to district commissioner, overseeing the region that includes today's Meru and Tharaka Nithi counties.
That's a huge area to cover, eh?
Which are now 2 counties.
Yes. And to govern, to rule people around. You deal with issues like who's tall, who's chicken and goat. You run over and the chiefs have to report to you and you tell them what to do. You become the judge. In fact, DOs are judges or magistrates without calling them so.
At this particular time, Biwott acquires the art of governance and the dark tactics of colonial control.
You are taught how to control people and govern them and maybe mobilize them. You are a government, you are a little king in an area.
As a quick learner, he sees this firsthand. In Meru, he plays a pivotal role in resettling some Mau Mau freedom fighters after Kenya's bloody fight for independence. But here is the twist. Not everyone got a fair deal. By favoring some and sidelining others, Biwott sowed seeds of division that will linger on for decades. In an independent Kenya, Nicholas Biwott's star will shine brighter.
I could recall his history when he was assistant to Bruce Mackenzie, how he grew up in business, his connection with the Mossad.
His sharp mind and knack for navigating power caught the eye of a rising political Kalenjin giant, Daniel Arap Moi, Kenya's third vice president, who was appointed following the subsequent resignations of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and Joseph Murumbi. The year is 1977 and Moi taps Biwott as his personal assistant. This was no small gig. It puts Biwott at the heart of Kenya's political machine.
Which also gave him a lot of mileage in terms of knowing what... See, the vice president was always traveling.
Yeah.
Because Jomo did not travel, Moi traveled. So he got more exposure on the way the government works.
The golden era of now, can you one nation, can you one people?
Mimi Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi naapa kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu kwa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Nation, can you one people?
And when Moi becomes president in 1978, Biwott's ascent went into overdrive. In 1979, as Daniel Moi was elected president unopposed following the lapse of the constitutional 90 days, Biwott took a bold leap. He ran for parliament in the first general election of the Moi era and won.
I, Nicholas Biwott, who swear.
This wasn't just a seat, it was a launchpad. Soon, he was appointed minister in the office of the president, a role that gave him immense influence in Moi's inner circle.
See, put somebody you trust next to you. And that's what Biwott was going to continue the same thing in a bigger place, with a bigger name. But the same job. Being the eyes and the fixer and the ears of the president.
And I want to believe that Moi had been able to identify him as a smart guy. And they were very complementary. Moi was older, less educated, isn't it? Nicholas was younger, more educated, and had much more exposure than his maker, Daniel Arap Moi.
So they were together like this. Actually, got up, Biwott became is like Kenyatta and Bio Koinange. very close to each other. The president needs somebody he or she can trust. Does not mean this person is the one who decides. In the same way that Biwott is not the one who decided things, but he decided some things. And Biwott is not the one who decided things, although he might have decided some things, because he had the trust of the president.
From a colonial officer to cabinet minister, Biwott had mastered the art and game of power. Look, some call him the man behind the throne, orchestrating Kenya's political machine with precision. But who was this man? And how did he wield so much influence? Who was Nicholas Biwott?
Total man. I know that by the name of Total man.
Why was he called Total Man?
I don't know.
But you know he was called the Total Man.
He was the right hand of President Moi Kenyatta.
You know Nicholas Biwott?
Yes.
Who was Nicholas Biwott?
Total man.
Total. Why was he called Total Man?
He was a killer.
Can you prove that he was a killer?
He was a killer. Total man.
What was his job before Moi became president?
He was a spokesman, I think. Moi spokesman.
Moi spokesman.
Yeah.
During Daniel Arap Moi's presidency, Nicholas Biwott wasn't just a minister. He was the man who called the shots.
And Biwott, from the way he rises all along, he was used as a means to take off pressure from Moi. You remember consistently we'll say Moi is good. Alitupatia maziwa. He has started what he used to call vyuo vikuu vya university. Kila mahali, he opened up education system. Moi will appear like the most magnanimous of the presidents that we have ever had. Lakini shida yake ni Biwott. Evil man. That is actually the role Biwott played in Moi's political chessboard, nationally and among the Kenyans. He will take the branches that were meant for Moi.
From land deals to massive energy projects, Biwott left his mark on Kenya's history like few others. Let's break it down for you. In 1979, as minister in the office of the president, Biwott was at the heart of a land scandal. Teaming up with Gigi Kariuki, he orchestrated a massive land redistribution scheme. State land managed by the Agricultural Development Corporation ADC was handed out to civil servants and defense forces officers. Why? Some say it was a tactic to secure loyalty to Moi's new regime, and it didn't stop there. The Agricultural Finance Corporation stepped in, offering loans to help these new landowners develop their farms. Biwott wasn't just playing politics, he was reshaping Kenya's power structure. But that was just the start. In 1982, Kenya was rocked by a failed coup attempt, and President Moi was done being underestimated. Labeled a passing cloud by his rivals, Moi was ready to strike back and show who was really in charge. His mission? Dismantle the old guards and secure his grip on power. Enter the new power players. Nicholas Biwott, a cunning strategist, Simeon Nyachai, a rising star in Moi's inner circle, and Hezekiah Oyugi, a key provincial commissioner. These men were Moi's secret weapons in a scheme to upend Kenya's political elite. At the center of their crosshairs, the untouchable Charles Njonjo, a cabinet minister and one of Kenya's most influential figures. The stage was set on May 8, 1983 at a fundraiser in Kisii organized by Simeon Nyachai. Picture this, thousands of people gathered, primary schools in need of support, and President Moi as the chief guest.
Lazima nyinyi wazazi mjue kwamba kazi yetu ni kujenga. Kazi yetu ni kuangalia kwamba kila shule ina facilities za kutosha, mahitaji ya wanafunzi. Ni wajibu wetu kama iko shida kwa shule fulani, tufanye harambee.
But Moi wasn't there just to cut a ribbon. He dropped a political bombshell that will change everything.
So Moi talked about somebody who was being paid by foreign powers to take over his government.
Yes, you heard that right.
So I had a small typewriter. He was not strong on that statement. He said as if it was casual. He was not emphatic. But then as a journalist, I said, this is the news. So I drove to Nakuru with my small typewriter, and then it was the intro. And then the newspapers now, they splashed it.
They splashed it. It became viral.
Yeah, it became viral. Yeah.
And to make it crystal clear who he was talking about, Moi warned those undermining his vice president, Mwai Kibaki.
And then now the parliament took over. Then Mwangari said, because Moi did not say who it was. So Mwangari said it is Njonjo.
On the floor of the house?
Yes. Yeah. Now that is how things now began to explode.
Charles Njonjo was in trouble.
Yes, I'm the one who wrote the story, 83. That's a small typewriter. Because when he spoke in Nikisi, some said, iko wengine wanasaidiwa na watu wa nje kuchukua serikali. But you know, it was not emphatic, it was not a warning, it was not a caution. He said it in a very casual manner. It didn't matter. He said it. So now I put it as an intro in my story. And then my friend, I even trembled. I said, I just wrote a small intro. And it was earth-shaking across the world.
Did Moi ever talk to you about it? Because
no.
Now you're the one who started the story.
No. He could not challenge it. He said it. I was his press officer. Yes.
I thought we could have asked you, we went extra.
Yeah. You see, now, when you say something, even in a whisper, when it appears as a headline, everything changes.
Yeah.
Even you as the person who said it, say, my God.
Njonjo, once a key ally in Moi's inner circle from 1978, was now a threat. And Moi, he wasn't having it. In a swift and brutal move, Moi forced Njonjo out. In the same year, 1983, Njonjo resigned from his cabinet post and even his seat as MP for Kikuyu. One by one, Moi's former allies, Njonjo, Gigi Kariuki, and much later Mwai Kibaki, were dropped like chess pieces. And rising from the ashes, Nicholas Biwott, whose grip on power grew stronger than ever.
Harambee!
Picture this. It's the era of Africa's so-called big men, larger than life. Leaders who dominated the continent's politics. Kenya's president at the time was one of them.
But you land. Kenya, Kenya.
But behind this towering figure stood a man, small in stature, often compared to the biblical Zacchaeus, yet wielding unmatched influence. And this was Nicholas Biwott. Biwott wasn't just a politician, he was a force. Kenya's entire cabinet, every member of parliament, and the country's elite practically bowed to him.
Every politician has somebody who does their dirty job. You get that? You want to invest in a certain company, but because you occupy a certain office, you don't want your name to. You know that if I put somebody there, hawezi niruka. An errand boy looks a bit diminutive, but it's a euphemism kind of for a guy who does the dirty work for you. If you are told to go somewhere, and you are told don't come with your life, do you have somebody you can leave your life with and say just keep it until I come back? So that was Biwott for Moi. If you wanted to do an international transaction and you didn't want anybody anywhere to trace it back to you, there are people you use. You know they will not wake up tomorrow and hold a press conference and they say Nilitumiwa. You have had these politicians who say I was used. Yes. Biwott never did that, and I don't foresee. That's how he became so useful, so significant to Moi's presidency. And he was there actually from the very beginning, the budding of Moi as a public figure. And they had this lifelong interaction. There are secrets of Moi that Biwott knew, nobody else knew, including his children and his closest friend. For me, I'm an associate dean. Yes. There are things I can do in and around the university, but I would not want anybody to know. If I had somebody who can do them for me, who can deliver whatever I want to me, that is an errand boy. We are not saying he's a boy biologically, nor we are not saying that one is boy in a condescending or in a derogatory way. No. In fact, errand boys are the most important, they're the most powerful. Sometimes we used to say, if you wanted to know Moi's thinking, listen to Nicholas. Listen. And for sure, those who listened benefited.
Here is how powerful Biwott was. Diplomats from global superpowers and mega-rich business tycoons would wait hours, sometimes in his office, sometimes in 5-star hotels, just for a 3-minute meeting with him. Why? Because Biwott was the gatekeeper to the president. If you wanted your message heard, you went through him. Talk about a flex. Now, let's zoom into Biwott's home turf, Keyo South constituency. Every year, he hosted a massive fundraiser for local projects, including a school named after his mother, Mama Soti. Picture this: vice presidents, ministers, and top businessmen flocking to these events, competing to donate huge sums of money. It wasn't just a fundraiser, it was a display of Biwott's clout.
Nicholas was powerful. Powerful. That's why he only needed to give you his eyes. And you know all is not right. Just macho tu, kitupa macho. Awa kusalimie. I'm told. He used to say hi to you, alive and akufinya hivi. If he did that, that is a communication, it's not a greeting. Yeah. Kuna kitu ulifanya ujinga mahali. and he's communicating. Boss.
That is power.
That is power. It is different from playing it. You know, I can play here, I can be louder than my VC. You know that? But that doesn't make me a VC, you know?
They say that makes the most powerful. Silent.
Yes. I mean, you never hear a deep ocean making noise, but a very shallow river running down a hill, how much noise does it make?
And here is the kicker. Biwott held his seat as MP for an incredible 28 years without interruption, making him one of Kenya's longest-serving parliamentarians. His story shows how power really works, not always in the spotlight, but always in control.
I think he learned from Moi. Having been with him for such a long time, he should not be the one to be attracting attention. Although he could not avoid attracting attention once people got to know how powerful he was as Mr. Fix-It.
What was he fixing?
Whatever did not please Moi.
As Minister of Energy, Biwott took things to another level. He spearheaded oil exploration deals with global giants like the American oil company Amoco, scoring Turkana and the Indian Ocean for black gold. Could Kenya become an oil powerhouse? Biwott was betting on it, or maybe not. Then came the Takwel Gorge Power Project, a massive hydroelectric dam that sparked major controversy. Opposition leaders called it a white elephant, a wasteful flop that would never deliver. Critics were relentless, but Biwott stood firm. And guess what? None other than Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, once a fierce critic, visited the project during a rare moment of cooperation with Moi's KANU party. His verdict? He called it one of the wonders of the world. Just like that, Biwott's vision was vindicated, and the white elephant label was buried. A story is told that once Captain Charles Wachira flew Nicholas Biwott to Eldoret. Upon landing, there was a fuel truck on standby to refuel the helicopter, after which the truck driver handed the keys to Biwott, who drove away alone.
It reinforces the impression that he was a very insecure man.
That was vintage Biwott, a master of surprises who never stuck to a routine. Biwott was as mysterious as he was powerful. Some even call him paranoid. Why? Because he lived like a man who knew secrets and had secrets to keep. Picture this. In a single day, Biwott would change vehicles 10 times. One moment, he's in a ramshackle taxi blending into Nairobi's chaotic streets. Next, he's in a luxury car pulling up to the Hilton Hotel. Then another to Norfolk, another to Lavington, and yet another to the exclusive Muthaiga neighborhood.
You see, he became paranoid because he knew very well that he was a punching bag of the Moi regime. You can become paranoid because instead of Moi being targeted, you are targeted.
He rarely ate in public, and when he did, it was a spectacle, almost like he was testing the food for poison.
I mean, I was in hospitality industry by virtue of running a hotel school, and I could see him in different functions, including our own hotel in Utali Hotel. He could come. He never did a la carte. You know a la carte? The one you order, and then it's prepared specially for you. He did a buffet. And even in a buffet, he will come to a line where you are serving, and goes to a line and takes food of somebody who has already served and give you his plate.
And even we never used to sit on the chair reserved for.
No, he never. Or if they do that, he will send his personal assistant. There's this guy who became an MP. to seat the one reserved for him, he will sit elsewhere. That's the guy who was now his personal assistant until he lost, mind. He could come to a place and forget what they had come to do. So this guy could. That is the price, in my view, he was paying for being a scapegoat and also for being an errant poet.
Why all the secrecy? Was he dodging enemies, protecting sensitive deals, or was it just part of his enigma? He was clearly a man of many masks. Biwott never had a watch or a mobile phone. If he wanted to make a call, he would reach out to whoever was around him, even a stranger, and borrow a phone, dial, engage in a conversation, and then ask them to delete the number he had called. Then he would reward them generously for the trouble.
Knowing his job, and maybe he also knew that not everybody was happy about him. Whatever he did, he would be sure that this is okay. Not somebody told him that, but he made sure himself.
Here is where things get dark. Look, Biwott's name was linked to some of Kenya's biggest controversies. The biggest, the 1990 murder of Foreign Affairs Minister Robert Ouko. Listen, Ouko's death was a shock. His body was found burned in a forest, and many believed it was politically motivated.
There's a rumor that while they were in Washington, that trip, the final one that Ouko made before he died, they were addressing a press conference. I don't know whether that happened or not. Then, characteristic of a former president, he was not eloquent here in Kenya. You didn't expect him to be eloquent in America. I'm told Moi really struggled in that press conference. Sometimes because of the American accent, he couldn't hear some of the questions, so he answered them, irrelevantly and all that. At some point, Ouko had to chip in to elaborate certain things. And he did it so brilliantly, characteristic of Ouko. We didn't like Moi when we were students here in our undergraduate. But when Ouko was defending him, we listened. In fact, there's a term I learned from Ouko, which I use up to today, blatant lies. Now, Ouko interjected and answered those questions. And one press guy, you guys sometimes you can be naughty, asked him, when a minister, you are such a brilliant guy, why do you allow such a daft guy to be your president? And you qualify to be one. That was the end of Ouko. Purportedly, when they met for dinner later that evening, it is reported that Nicholas said hi to him by using, "Hello, Mr. President." Whether that happened or not, I don't know. But if I were Ouko and that happened, I could be very careful. Because even the moods, people used to look at Nicholas's moods to understand the moods of Moi.
Biwott was arrested in November 1991 as a key suspect, along with another Moi ally, Hezekiah Oyugi. Let me explain. A judicial commission led by Justice Evans Gisheru was digging into Ouko's death, but Moi abruptly shut it down. Biwott was released without charges, but the suspicion stuck. And that wasn't all. Biwott was accused of massive corruption. Look, the opposition claimed he looted Kenya's economy through kickbacks on mega projects and manipulated the financial sector. His wealth, estimated at billions of shillings, raised eyebrows. Ventures Financial magazine ranked him among Africa's top 50 billionaires in 2013. The man was a billionaire with interests in everything: real estate, oil, aviation, agriculture, you name it. He owned stakes in Yaya Center, Kobil petrol stations, Air Kenya, and over 30 companies stacked worldwide. Listen, his business philosophy was simple: buy failing businesses, invest heavily, and watch them grow. One of his companies was among Kenya's top 10 taxpayers. But let me explain the controversy. Critics said his wealth came from abusing his government connections, bagging huge tenders through his HZ group of companies. His family, including his 7 daughters, inherited his empire. In 2023, they sold Yaya Center for billions, yet Biwott's defenders say he was just a savvy businessman inspired by his father's fruit and vegetable trade. What is the truth? We may never know. My name is Enoch Sikoli, and I am the Kenyan historian.